Hello and welcome to English for All. I'm your host, Janet.
And I'm Brian. It's great to be with you all. Today we're talking about something that affects daily life for millions of people, transportation.
That's right. Specifically, we're going to discuss how we get around our city, Los Angeles. LA is famous for its cars and freeways, but there are other ways to travel, and Brian and I have very different approaches.
We certainly do. I am a firm believer in public transport, so I use the bus and the metro system. Janet, on the other hand, is a driver.
I have my car and I drive pretty much everywhere. So today we're going to look at the pros and cons of each method. Let's start with my choice, the car. Brian, what's the first thing you think of when you imagine driving in LA?
Honestly, traffic. Just endless lines of red brake lights on the freeway. But I know there's a good side to it too. What do you love about having a car here?
The freedom, without a doubt. It's the biggest advantage. I can go wherever I want, whenever I want. If I want to drive to a beach in Malibu at 10 p.m., I can. If I need to go to 3 different grocery stores to find a special ingredient, it's no problem.
Right. That spontaneity is something you definitely lose with public transport. You're always on someone else's schedule.
Exactly. And it's not just about spontaneous trips. It's practical. I can carry a lot of things in my car. Groceries, my gym bag, things for work. It's like having a little mobile storage unit. Plus, I have my own private space. I can listen to my music or podcasts as loud as I want.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. But let's talk about the big downside, the traffic. How much of your life is spent sitting in a car, not moving?
Ugh, don't remind me. It can be terrible. A trip that should take 20 minutes can easily take over 60 minutes during rush hour. Rush hour is the time when everyone is going to or from work, usually in the morning and late afternoon. In LA, it sometimes feels like it's always rush hour.
I've heard that. So you have to plan your whole life around avoiding traffic?
You do, and it's not just the time, it's the stress. I have a story that perfectly illustrates this. A few years ago, I was driving to a really important job interview in Century City. I gave myself what I thought was plenty of extra time, about 1.5 hours for a 45-minute drive. But there was a major accident on the freeway. All lanes were stopped. I ended up sitting in the exact same spot for over an hour, just watching the clock tick. I was so stressed out, I thought I was going to miss the interview entirely. I finally got there, 30 minutes late, a nervous wreck. It was awful. And then there's the other big problem, parking.
Ah, yes, the hunt for a parking space.
It can be a nightmare. In busy areas like downtown or near the beach, you can spend 20 minutes just driving around looking for a spot. And when you find one, it's often very expensive. You have to pay at a parking meter or in a garage. Forgetting to pay the meter can get you a very expensive parking ticket.
Not to mention the cost of the car itself. Gas, insurance, maintenance, it all adds up. That's one of the main reasons I choose not to drive.
It's true. It is a big expense. So tell me about your world, Brian. What's it like navigating this huge city without a car?
Well, the biggest pro for me is the lack of stress. While you're stuck in traffic, getting frustrated, I'm sitting on a bus or a train. I can read a book, listen to music, or even get some work done on my phone. My travel time becomes my own time.
That does sound nice. I can't really read while I'm driving.
Definitely not. And the cost is a huge factor. To use the LA Metro system, you get a tap card, which is a reusable plastic card you add money to. A single ride is $1.75 with free transfers for 2 hours. Compared to the cost of gas and parking for a single trip, it's incredibly cheap.
Wow, that is a big difference. I probably spend $10 on gas for a trip across town. But what about the convenience? Does the system actually go where you need it to?
That is the main con or disadvantage. The system is getting much better, but LA is so spread out. The train lines are great for hitting major areas, downtown, Hollywood, Santa Monica, Pasadena, But if you want to go somewhere that isn't near a station, you have to take a bus.
And buses can be slow, right? They have to stop at every bus stop and deal with the same traffic I do.
Exactly. A journey often involves a transfer, which means switching from one bus to another, or from a bus to a train. That adds time. You have to plan ahead carefully using an app. You lose all that spontaneity we talked about.
What about at night or on weekends? Is it reliable then?
It's less frequent. The service slows down late at night, so you have to be really careful not to miss the last bus or train home. That's a situation where I really wish I had a car.
Let's take a specific example. Say we both wanted to go from your neighborhood, Koreatown, to the Getty Center Museum. How would that work for each of us?
Okay, good one. For me, I would walk to the subway station, take the D-line train a few stops, then transfer to the E-line train towards Santa Monica. I'd get off at a specific stop and then catch a bus that goes right up to the museum entrance. All in all, it would probably take about an hour and a half.
Right. For me, I'd get in my car, get on the 10 freeway, then switch to the 405 freeway north. Without traffic, that drive would take maybe 25 minutes. But on the 405, there's always traffic. So realistically, it would probably take me 45 minutes to an hour. But then I'd have to pay $20 to park in their garage.
So your trip is faster but much more expensive. My trip is cheaper and I can relax while I travel, but it takes significantly longer.
That's a perfect summary. It's a trade-off. A trade-off is a situation where you balance two opposing factors. You accept a disadvantage in one area to get an advantage in another.
For you, the trade-off is money and stress for speed and convenience. For me, I trade time for lower cost and less stress. There's also the environmental aspect. Taking public transport is much better for the planet than driving alone in a car.
That's a very important point. It's something I think about a lot. It seems like neither method is perfect. My car gives me freedom, but comes with stress and high costs. Your way is cheap and relaxing, but can be slow and limiting.
I think that's the reality of living in a big, spread-out city like Los Angeles. You have to choose the set of problems you'd rather deal with.
That's a great way to put it. But we've been talking as if driving and public transport are the only two options. What about the other ways people get around?
That's a good point. I'm thinking of ride-sharing services like Uber and Lyft. Do you ever use those?
Sometimes, yes. If I'm going to a concert or an event where I know parking will be especially difficult and expensive, I'll sometimes take a Lyft. It saves me the stress of looking for a parking spot. But it's definitely not cheap, especially during peak hours.
Right. The price can surge or increase dramatically when demand is high. I use them occasionally too, especially late at night when the buses are infrequent. It's a good backup option to have. It's like a compromise between a taxi and having your own car.
Exactly. It offers some of the convenience of a car without the hassle of parking, but it's not a solution for everyday commuting for most people because of the cost. What about things like biking or walking?
In a city as large as LA, walking is really only practical for short distances within your own neighborhood. I can walk to my local coffee shop or the grocery store, which is great, but walking to work? It would take me 3 hours.
I agree. LA is not a very walkable city, meaning it's not designed for pedestrians. The distances are just too big. Biking is interesting, though. I see more and more bike lanes being added around the city.
That's true. The city is making an effort, but it's a slow process. And to be honest, I'm not sure I'd feel safe biking on major streets here. The cars move so fast, and drivers aren't always looking out for cyclists. It feels a bit risky for a daily commute.
That's a great way to put it. But we've been talking as if driving and public transport are the only two options. What about the other ways people get around? Sometimes, yes. If I'm going to a concert or an event where I know parking will be especially difficult and expensive, I'll sometimes take a Lyft. It saves me the stress of looking for a parking spot. But it's definitely not cheap, especially during peak hours.
And that's right. A great phrase we used a lot today is pros and cons, which means the advantages and disadvantages of something. It's a fantastic phrase to use when you're comparing two things. We encourage you to think about the pros and cons of transportation in your own town or city.
Thank you so much for listening to English for All. We hope this conversation was helpful and gave you some new vocabulary to practice.
You can find the transcript of this episode on the description below. And thank you for listening to English for All. Please come back for next week's episode.